So there's almost this unwritten rule to updates for Call of Duty, and Modern Warfare 3 and Warzone Season 1 Reloaded update is no exception. What is that unwritten rule? Well, it's that you're probably going to see changes to the game that were not in the patch notes, and today we're running down those stealth changes that you should be aware of. Some bigger, some smaller, but changes not announced via official channels no less. Drop your thoughts down below as we go along, drop a like if you enjoy, and subscribe for more, and make sure to check out my friends over at Gamer Advantage for 10% off with code ESPRESSO, but more on that a little later. For now, let's take a look at the stealth changes of Modern Warfare 3 Season 1 Reloaded. So let's start out with some larger things here, sort of overarching pieces of content that were added or adjusted that were not mentioned, get into some gameplay changes, then some UI and smaller items that were adjusted as of Season 1 Reloaded. So first and foremost, I want to talk about some camos, because firstly, we have a camo in place of the event completionist blueprint that was supposedly coming here with this. Last week when we saw Season 1 Reloaded announced, we did learn that there was going to be an LMG blueprint coming for the event of Season 1 Reloaded in that boys crossover. That was leaked to be a TAC Eradicator build, which honestly looks really cool. I think it's a really nice gloss red, white, and blue finish to it, but it's a blueprint, so you're going to lose out on a lot of that design if you even adjust it slightly. But what might be weird is that all of the items and challenges for that event were changed altogether. But that's also not to say that we may not see those challenges here upcoming in the next few weeks, because there was a daily message that now until February 7th, stick it to the soups and complete weekly event challenges to unlock rewards. Look out for a new challenge every week. So we're not going to just have this The Boys Soup Takedown event as a one and done. Instead, in the 4 days and couple hours and change, whenever we see a refresh here for the weekly set happen, we're going to likely see another The Boys weekly challenge set come, to which that is probably going to see those event challenges and that blueprint reward that were mentioned explicitly, but also there seemingly is another third The Boys weekly event, which based off of leaks comes along with another universal camo that you can end up grabbing. So we'll see how that all breaks down, but an unmentioned change and deviation from what was advertised, but I'm all here for it. Next, continuing to talk camos, the new Champions Quest comes along with a few more rewards than advertised, or even mentioned in the patch notes and such. While we knew of that Meltdown 240 operator skin that was part of the sort of key art for the Champions Quest reintroduction, what we also saw data mined was 2 emblems, a charm, stickers, and a calling card. But there was still this big question of will they, won't they, on if they're going to be adding a camo reward into the mix, because we saw Season 5 and Season 6's Champions Quest rewards include Modern Warfare 2 Universal Weapon camos, which still, if you have those, can be equipped again to all Modern Warfare 3 weapons as well. And if you know me, I love camos. I love any reward that's tangible and apparent. I don't really care too much for decals, emblems, operator skins, or whatever, because I don't see that for about 95% of my game time. But a camo, that's always the stuff that I'm interested in. But that said, Stealth Change and Stealth Edition for sure. If you either complete 5 wins in a row or you get the 30 wins on the season, grab the nuke contract and complete it, you'll get all of what was just mentioned, plus the Acerbic Royal Weapon camo as an additional unnamed bonus. This one was leaked a little while ago, and it's a camo that I still probably would want to go for just because I'm a weirdo like that. I see a camo, I gotta have it. But in the grand scheme of camos, for what we've seen out of the nuke rewards, I'd say this one probably ranks 3 of 3. I think both the Season 5 and Season 6 rewards both outrank this one in terms of how cool they look, but if you don't have those, this will be the only one you'll have, since the others, to my knowledge, don't get rewarded retroactively. Though I will say maybe in the future that is something that does happen, because we saw the Season 5 Champions Quest camo in Modern Warfare 2 get rewarded to those that completed it in Season 6 on top of the Season 6 exclusive camo as well. But anyways, an unmentioned addition here to the game, which I'm all for. Beyond that, let's talk about some gameplay related stuff. Warzone also added a new enemy UAV AO notification, which is massive for awareness here, that if a player in the area that is not on your team calls in a UAV and you're in that radius, it'll give you that heads up. That's absolutely massive, because I know for a fact I've had so many times where I'm like, how did he know where I was? And with the quality of life of live marks and dotted minimap kill cams being kind of hit or miss, it seems like, it always is great to know and have that level of understanding and map awareness of when you'll show up for somebody. Just something that allows you to understand, okay, maybe they're not cheating, maybe I just genuinely got outplayed, maybe I was just actually in a very vulnerable state, whereas I didn't think I was. So nice to see that added in here with this. Overall, before we shift out of Warzone, there's also been a lot of reports that overall FPS and stability has actually been a little bit better, but of course, especially with PC, each system is different, so it may not be the case for 100% of the time, but I've seen a lot of positive sentiment after this update for the game. Not talking about the servers or anything because those are still absolute buns. But anyways, speaking of FPS, there was also this rarish bug where FPS would be locked to 60 in the firing range, but nowhere else. That's seemingly been resolved now as well after this update, which is definitely nice. The bookstore dividers for the line going to the cashier have been removed entirely, which was a map feature that could have been removed by exploding them, but by default they were there. And even though they were small barriers, you could not walk up to that counter, you couldn't get an angle on the hallway that may have been preferred without them obstructing you and getting in your way. Those are now just gone entirely, and you can move freely in front of that counter and from the very beginning of the game, which is awesome. That was one of those things that was just a very small map detail that just infuriated me anytime I played Terminal. But nice to see that removed here. Faction icons now appear more prominently on the infill sequences, and weapon canvases for camos have actually been adjusted on not all of them, and it seems like it might be limited to some blueprints, but I noticed them on the Black Cell weapon blueprints that I had. Maybe all Black Cell blueprints, but at least a couple of them that I had equipped. You guys may have seen the one gameplay where I sniped earlier in the season where the camo was an all matte black finish on my sniper. That was the secondary design of the Black Cell blueprint with the mix of the finish of a ranked camo. But that applied to the entirety of the weapon because of the way the Black Cell blueprint worked. Whereas now, I'd say over half that weapon now showcases the base primary camo pattern of the emerald green ranked camo. That and my Black Cell MCW blueprint that I know I had was something that was an all snow white camo effect because of the way the CDL 2023 camo worked with the Black Cell blueprint. But now you can see that it's actually adjusted to the point where it's no longer the case here. So not sure how many of these have changed, but I did notice a few of these weapons. Maybe you have as well. Now, moving along to the final portion here of this video, some smaller UI items and less consequential things, but things you may have noticed. There's now a new HUD edge on screen for the borders of things like weapon camo menus, which is cool. It adds a little bit more of a digital design to the menus. The private match map listing now, if you go to customize whatever private match you're in, it now lists the maps in a vertical section with 4 maps per row, which is definitely nice to see instead of having to scroll entirely to the left or entirely to the right. And it's something that's just a more condensed, user-focused UI layout. And next up, I really hope that because there's so many of them, we get this applied to gun screens, weapon charms, decals, stickers, and all, because we could really benefit from seeing multiple rows at once instead of having to scroll through like hundreds of different items at that point. Additionally, there are new like caret icons denoting visually a buff or a nerf to weapons with attachments and the detailed statistics. Previously, you only saw those percentages and the highlighted sort of gradient red or green, but now there's that extra piece to help you quickly visualize the changes, either being positive or negative. And finally, there are new icons on items within the game that if you have not jumped in, you'll probably notice this, but you may have already cleared them out instinctively, but you can see those on like the UI ribbons for like the challenges, but also you saw it a lot in Create a Class after this update denoted by new icon dots. The problem with the dots, though, is that it's nice to see the visualization here of there's new items available through that category, but there's no mark all as seen option or anything like that, which when some items can get bugged, as they did in my Create a Class, there's no way to get rid of a few of those icons, and it just drives me nuts. So maybe you're the same way as well, but those are your stealth changes here within Modern Warfare 3 and Warzone Season 1 Reloaded. So that is what we're going to call it. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you guys like some of these changes, dislike them, whatever the case? Before we wrap everything up, though, make sure you check out my friends over at Gamer Advantage for what I firmly believe are the best bullet classes on the market. I've worked with these guys for nearly 3 years now and cannot recommend them enough. They're the most lightweight, comfortable, and durable frames out there, and I definitely think they've helped my daily productivity. Full transparency, yes, they are a bit more of an investment, but I think that your vision is absolutely worth investing into, especially if you're like me and looking at a monitor, phone, or gaming for a good chunk of the day. So if you guys would like to learn more, at the very least, I would recommend checking out their website where they can better break down the science and all the specifics way better than I ever could. But what I can personally say is that I'd highly recommend them through this entire time of working with them. So if you guys want to learn more, check the link in the description below. But if you'd like to pick something up for yourself, use code Espresso to get 10% off your entire order. That said, again, drop your thoughts down below. Drop a like if you guys enjoyed or found it at all insightful. And do me a favor and hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with all things Modern Warfare 3, Warzone, and other FPS content. But for now, thanks so much for watching. My name's been Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.